Hello folks and welcome to Tippcast with myself, Shane Stapleton, and the head of sport in the Nenagh Guardian, Shane Brophy. Huge amount of stuff going on in Tip GAA at the moment. It's all covered in the Nenagh Guardian at the moment, so don't forget to pick up a copy of that right now. There's a huge amount of coverage of everything happening in Tipperary. Shane, how are things with you this morning?
Not too bad now, Shane. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Delighted to say we're joined by Anthony Shelley also. Anthony, we'll jump straight into the football. Obviously, it wasn't a brilliant day for Tipperary at all against Waterford in the Munster Championship. In fact, it was, a one that will sit very heavily on our shoulders. Can you talk to us about this defeat?
Yeah, it was a dark day. I said, I think, in the commentary on Sunday that a lot of people talk about 1976 being our worst day ever. We lost 5-11 to 114 down in Waterford, but Sunday was right up there with it. Particularly, we know Waterford have huge amount of turnover this year. They're allegedly, the rumours coming out of it that they're not, they're only kind of getting going now. They're not the most organised setup that they've ever had down there. So while we've had a good bit of change in our own setup as well, you would expect that a minimum requirement for Tipperary football would be going down. It will always be difficult in Fraher Field, but what is it? 1988 was the last time they beat us, so you should be going down and getting the business done. So there's no way of sugarcoating it. It's as we're as low as the snake's belly now after that.
Shane, for long spells, Waterford couldn't even get on the score sheet. How did this game pan out? How did it turn against Tipperary?
Yeah, it's just actually, look, it was very, very strange. I think it was a Paul Shanky said on the Sunday game. I think what he described it as diabolical or something. Their performance in the first half, and you couldn't disagree with them. Like they were so passive. Like they had the wind. Like it looked to me like they won the toss and they were playing with it, and yet they just allowed Tip to own the ball, like just pass it across and back. Jack Kennedy was just spraying passes where he wanted, and it wasn't edifying because it looked like Tip were sort of playing down the clock too to make sure they got to half time not in a good situation to kick on for the second half. And look, they were 1-2 to a point up, but then you look at the second half and how Waterford didn't find it as hard to shoot into that end. I think got the Tip leave an awful lot behind them. If they'd taken a few more chances, could they have scored more? Then in the second half, I think a mentality thing at halftime. I think Tip thought this is too easy. We have the game won. We have the win behind us. We have enough quality to get enough scores, and we'll get over the line and get out of here. And I think the frustrating thing for me, I don't know, Anthony thinks they completely changed their MO in the second half from the patient, composed side in the first half on the ball. With the breeze, they started trying to force the killer pass, trying to taking risks in the ball. Then they were being turned over, Waterford going the other way, and they slowly grew in confidence and belief. And look, it was. It's just frustrating. From the team that did everything right in the first half and how you control a game against the breeze, how they veered away from it in the second half, I can't understand.
Anthony, I might just read out a little bit of what Paul Kelly said in the Guardian afterwards. He said the second half we're just going to have to look at and think about. We didn't show the energy, positivity, speed and support that we would have expected given the first half. If we had showed that speed and support and decision making that we showed in the first half in the second, it's a different game. But we didn't, and we're just going to have to live with that and think about it and see what we do next. So is that a fair enough assessment?
It is. I think nearly more agree with Shane's assessment there. It was a complete lack of composure in the second half. We were trying to get the ball from A to B as quickly as possible, and the support runners, and hoping the support runners will get there. And you'd also have to question our shot selection. We seem to be, look, we have the wind. We can shoot from the sideline. We can shoot from 46, 47 yards. But probably for me, one of the most criminal, and it was a tactic that was employed by Tip, was to concede the Waterford kick-out, particularly in the second half. Like Paddy Hunt in the Waterford goal, he's no Rory Beggan. He doesn't have the longest of kickouts to start with, but kicking into that wind, it was going to take 20 to 25 yards off any man's kick. That's how strong it was. And we all sat back outside the 65-metre line and just let him kick it to the cornerback. He had 100, obviously doing that. His kick-out stats for the second half were 100%. And once you do that, it's a tactic I can never understand, because the stats are there. The stats are there. Don't foul have done loads of stats on kickouts, and if you're allowing the team the short kickout, I think it's something like 98% of the time they're getting out over their own 45. 82% of the time they're getting into the opposition half, and 68% of the time they're getting inside your own 45, because they have the overlap. But with the modern way that the keepers are coming out and stuff like that, they now have a double overlap if they need it. So once you get inside the 45, the opposition 45, it's game on from there. And Tip, it's not like we're a Tyrone or a Donegal or stuff like that, where you can lure them in and then try strip the ball from them and move. Tackling would not be. We probably don't play enough football in Tip anyway to have all those little things mastered. So we are far better to push up, and all we needed to do was win 3 or 4 out of 10 kickouts in the second half, and that probably you've pinned them in. Then even if they do turn you back over, they're 100 yards from their goal against the Gale.
And this is a team, Shane, that lost by 25 points to Laois just a couple of weeks ago. As we said, hadn't beaten Tipperary in the championship for 36 years. We lost the second half by 9 points. Is it as simple as that also, that, on the sideline, we didn't spot that we need to push up on this team that is, let's call a spade, given the results. They're going to be fragile enough too, and we need to go after them.
Oh yeah, I think that even on our best day or our best team, Waterford will always, at home, this was the one game they always have some bit of a belief in going into play, is against Tipperary at home. And I just think in a game like that, where they have a sniff, that you go after them early, you go after their kick out any chance you get, you pin them in, and I suppose you shorten your own route to goal. We saw it continuously through the league that we're not good at defending. When we concede possession, is that we don't have the physicality or the tactical now, or the tackle strength to turn teams over. Against Carlow, we conceded the kick out, we fell behind, then we pushed up, and we absolutely dominated Carlow, and we pushed up. We had Stephen O'Brien that day, we haven't had him at the moment, and it's another thing I'll bring up in a minute. But I do think, look, the management are still trying to find their way. The group of players trying to find a proper structure, a proper game plan. But I think one thing you do, you keep things simple, and if you maybe you push up and you force them into a crowd, and you take it from there. And I do think at the moment, not conceding the short puck out the short kick out that's one thing has got to change for the Tailteann Cup. And I mentioned to Shane before we came on, I thought, look, we know the players we don't have at the moment through injury, or lads have stepped away, but on the field, there was no leadership in the second half. There was nobody to take the game by the scruff of the neck. Jimmy Feehan did it late on, but it was too late. We'd fallen behind at that stage. Conor Sweeney came on, and actually, as welcome as his addition was in the 42nd minute, it was actually counterproductive, because the amount of times lads tried to ping the long ball into him, and look, he almost got he missed a great chance of a point, probably a half chance of a goal. He could have chipped the keeper, but when you think, we have this great player in there, let's ping it into him, when maybe you say a bit more composure is needed too. So, but look, I do think, of all the players that have stepped away over the last 3-4 years, it's left an absolute chasm of leadership on the field. And when you don't have, then if you don't have Stephen O'Brien starting, Conor Sweeney starting, Mark Russell starting, it's even more pronounced, because especially around the middle of the field, you have young guys, Stephen Grogan, Kieran Costello, making their debuts. Like I thought, even that would have been a great game for the likes of Teddy Dial to start. And I thought he brought a bit of drive and aggression there when he came on. He actually got a yellow card. He actually started. He put in a tackle, like so. Like I think the likes of him would be very important in the Tailteann Cup. Like just that. Like I suppose you look at. I thought it was one thing for me. Like I would think Jack Kennedy is the classiest player on the team, but yet it was a free 40 yards out in the last 10 minutes. It was nailed on for him to kick it off the ground, and he more or less handed it over to Connor. Now, Connor got it on target. It landed just on the crossbar. But that was sort of one where you get, okay, I know I'm putting this down. I'm going to stick my foot through it. It's going over the bar, and we're going to go 2 points up. And I just think Jack has everything. But I just love to see him take a game by the scruff of the neck now, because he has the ability to control a game.
Okay, so it's 5 weeks until the Tailteann Cup, 11th to 12th of May. That's when it's going to be. The players are going back to their clubs for a couple of weeks, and they'll gather again April 19th. But just in terms of the leadership, Paul Kelly was saying we have to be very honest with ourselves and recognise there's a very significant turnover of players there. There were 16 or so lads left the group before we started this year. There's upwards of 12 to 16 new chaps, some of whom have never played for their county before. I don't think we were lazy in any shape or form trawling the county. Everybody's had an opportunity. It's a learning curve, and hopefully we just keep learning. Do we have to just accept that, Anthony?
We're accepting that every year, though. Like, it seems to be the way with Tip football. Like, you know, saying that the 16 new guys in there is, which there probably is, but it is also a small bit of a false flag in the sense that, you know, only 4 or 5, well, 5 or 6 have actually seen game time throughout the league. So referring to 16, you know, there was at least 10 of them sitting on the bench or sitting on the side, not even on the 26, all throughout the league. So, you know, we were in this situation in 2022 as well, when the 2020 group came to its natural end, and you know, some lads maybe said, "I've been here for 10 years now. I got my Munster medal. I'll tip off with myself." And you know, when we went down to Waterford in 2022, I think David Power handed debuts to 7 lads that day, and you know, we still came away with a 4 or 5 point win. You know, Shane touched on it there. Going to Waterford is always going to be difficult, no matter, you know, even in 2015, 2016, when we had those great teams. Waterford is a difficult place to go, but what generally happens is, you know, they put it up to you for 40 or 50 minutes and you pull away winning by 5 or 6 points. And it just felt on Sunday that mentally lads thought that's exactly what's going to happen here now today, and didn't turn up in the second half. But I don't accept too much of the, you know, we're young, we're inexperienced. Like, I mean, 9 of the starting team on Sunday have been there for 4 years or more in and around the panel, and you know, some of them there 8 years. You know, then, you know, you have the likes of Conor Cadell and James Morris. Like, they all got good experience last year as well. So, you know, there was 11 lads that had.
Yeah, and another thing, like, maybe you're coming to it, like, playing Colin O'Shaughnessy at wing forward. I know he's experienced, but he's an out and out defender. Like, I thought the game, like, you put shooters on up the, or even you flip O'Shaughnessy with Conor Cadell. You got Conor pushing further up the field, like, so. Yeah,
I mean, Conor Cadell, you know, named at wing forward, played wing back. Probably will get you, particularly with the win, probably will get you 2 or 3. Certainly get 2 or 3 shots off. Anyway, you know, some days they go over, some days they don't. But you know, probably will get you 2 points in the game. You know, you're not going to get that from Colin O'Shaughnessy at wing forward. But if you play Colin O'Shaughnessy in his natural spot at a cornerback or fullback or in the back line, he probably will stop 2 or 3 points from Waterford, like, you know, from Waterford scoring. And that's the difference between up there. Colin did the absolute finest, but he's not going to threaten the scoreboard.
Yeah, it's not a criticism of Colin. Like, he was.
No, not at all.
That's the piece. Has to play a role.
The other end, he'd stop him, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point dwelling too much on the players that have left the panel, but of the ones that are there, like, Shane, you add them up and you've mentioned them already. Stephen O'Brien, Mark Russell, Conor Sweeney, Sean O'Connor not able to start. Then Paddy Creedon, disciplinary issues, so he wasn't considered as well. I mean, if Paul Kelly had ducks, they'd drown.
Oh yeah, sure. Look, you think O'Connor was our best player during the league. O'Brien is our captain, powerhouse in the middle of the field. Mark Russell was just beset by injuries. You just know Mark, with a win behind him, he's so adept at kicking long range points. Like Sweeney's coming back. I suppose that was probably one of the few bright sparks from last weekend was Connor back and looking lively. Teddy Doyle was lively off the bench. Like Kieran Costello had a very good first half, brought a bit of physicality to it. I just thought it was strange afterwards. Like, in one way, I can think not a bad decision to let the players away for a fortnight back to their clubs. But then I was thinking, we've heard a lot of this thing of we started 6 weeks late. Why wouldn't you use the 5 weeks really to do an awful lot of work on the training field and really do everything you can to retrieve the season in the Tailteann Cup by putting in some competitive performances? Like, I can see both sides of the argument, but like I would have thought maybe take a few nights off, regather next Friday and really go again. I just think that 2 week void, an awful lot can happen. Like, will some guys get swayed to maybe sign up with clubs to go to America and maybe pull out before the Tailteann? I find that a bit. I don't know if that's the right call to leave it just hanging for a fortnight.
What do you think, Anthony?
I think Shane must have been in the dressing room after the game, because from what I believe, when it was offered to them to,
you might tilt your screen if you can a small bit.
Sorry. Yeah, when it was offered to them to stay away till the 19th, the players, from what I gathered, the players said, no, we want to get back. We have an awful lot of work to do. Yeah. We need to get back in. So I think they're actually going back in next week.
Yeah, that's encouraging. Like, it just makes you wonder. Like, the management have to get a share of the blame, and I'm not. Like, I just wondered, was there a sense that the management wanted an exit strategy? I don't know. Like, and I didn't get that sense. But God, I thought looking at Paul's face afterwards, a dreadful sense of realism that God, this job is harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, but they make it harder than it needs to be as well with the team selection. I mean, it just seems to be nothing coherent about it. I mean, we were going there during the league, and it was the joke among us as always: how many changes will there be to the named, to the team in the program? There was absolutely no point in buying the program, because there was going to be at least 4, 5, 6 changes to it. Like, and we seen that was it the Wexford game, that the program that was tweeted, and 11 changes to the team that was named, or 11 between changes and positional changes. Like, so when that's going on, and teams are being named on a Friday night, and if you had a lad from your club on it, you couldn't text him to wish him the best of luck, because he mightn't actually be playing. And I think it adds up, lads not knowing exactly what their role is in it. And I think every player needs to be led. Players are like sheep; they need to be led, and they need to know their defined role. And I'm not sure that any player, like, I mean, Colin O'Shaughnessy, I'd say last Monday, never dreamt he was going to be playing wing forward, just for example. Like, so he had maybe Thursday, Friday to get his head around what they would do up here.
But Anthony, like, fair enough if like some of the roles, like some of the players aren't suited to it. But like, does the match program thing really matter? I mean, the players are going to be told that the team is a couple of days beforehand. So stuff like that, is that just more an annoyance to supporters? And like, in terms of the players, they know where they're playing.
Well, they're not actually told a couple of days beforehand, because there was on a Friday night before the Wexford game. I met one of the players' parents, shall we say, and I asked him, is he playing? And he didn't know yet, even though he was waiting on a text, and that was at 8 o'clock on the Friday night. So it's not. They don't know. I know they're probably waiting on a few injuries, and there's probably excuses, to see where we're going. But it's just, to me, it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
And Shane, like, did we have to accept that if you appoint a manager late, and I know like Paul has talked about it, it's going to take a while before he gets to know these players, what suits them. He's maybe learning about these players and the job at the same time. Like, if we're feeling that there isn't someone in the county to do the job and we go beyond it, we have to. That's the price you pay.
Oh, look, I'm not one of those that will go all in on the management. Like, I think they do deserve a pass, and they're walking into a difficult situation. They're coming in at the very end of our golden era, like that great minor team. I suppose it probably started in 2006 with the minor team that got to a Munster final and continued right to 2015, that year where we got to 2 All-Ireland finals at under 21 and minor. Like, we had a great run of it, and we got to 2 All-Ireland semi-finals in senior, and we won a Munster final in 2020. I suppose, look, we all knew the fall off was going to come at some stage. I don't think think it was going to be as dramatic as this. Like, and I suppose the only thing about now is you really can't fall any further. You really, there are only ways up now at this stage. So, look, I still think there's an awful lot of talent there. There's enough talent there to be very, very competitive in the Tailteann Cup. I think the next 5 weeks are massive. Like, you have an awful lot of time. I suppose there'll be a lot of teams maybe you can get challenge matches with, maybe get and do an awful lot of work. Maybe try and simplify it. And I know Paul Kelly is very, how would you say, he's meticulous in everything he does. And maybe, I don't know what they're doing in training, whether it's overcomplicated stuff or maybe the players are not picking up on what he's trying to say. Maybe the best thing of the next 5 weeks is maybe try and pare it back a small bit. Just simplify it a small bit. Get through the Tailteann Cup. Try and generate a bit of momentum into next winter, because, like, if you have a bad Tailteann Cup and this management team are trying to regather next October, November, and then you maybe you're going well in the club championship, but you want to come in and you have a bad negative of watching back and say, God, the first season was bad. Will I commit? That's where I think this Tailteann Cup is very, very important for this management team. They're not going to win it, but I think they've definitely got to come out of it with something to take into next autumn and winter when they regather for next season.
Yeah, last year's Tailteann Cup. Sorry, Anthony. Go ahead.
Yeah, because when you're a Tipperary football manager, you get 3 examinations in the year. Like, you get the league, you get the championship, and the Tailteann Cup. Like, we don't set the bar too high in Tip. Like, if you pass one of them, particularly in your first year, you'll be okay. People will give you time, let you into the second year. But, like, you'd have to say we failed the first 2 examinations. So the shame is saying the Tailteann Cup is huge for this management team. And, like, there's a lot of other factors to be taken in. Like, 3 of that management team, 3 of the selectors, the manager are from outside the county. So with that, just expenses alone, like traveling expenses alone, will be, the cost of running the football team will probably be greater than ever was before for Tipperary football anyway. And if the county board are not seeing a return on their investment, a serious review will be done at the end of the year. So yeah, Shane is 100% right. Tailteann Cup is huge, but will the players stay around for it? Like, I mean, you only need to lose 2 or 3. There's 2 or 3 gone already from what I hear, and they wouldn't have been starters, and that, but from the extended panel they've left, which is a pity really, because it seems to be the problem all the time. We're always rebuilding for the last few years, and when those lads leave, they're going to have to be replaced next year if they don't come back next year. And then you're into the excuses again. Oh, we had 10 new lads in the panel next year. Like, so it just seems to be a never-ending circle.
Anthony, so like the Tailteann Cup last year, so really heavy defeat to Down after losing the opening day comfortably enough to Meath, and then beat Waterford by a point. We know now it's just over a month away, just over 4 weeks away before Tipperary are out in action again. How would you like to see those few weeks? Like, what do you want to see different out of this group of Tipperary players in a month's time compared to now?
I'd just like to see, like, we're we're 8 games into this management team's tenure, and I still haven't seen a defined game plan. Like, I mean, last year when David Power was there in Division 3, we played a very defensive game plan, right? I didn't agree with it. It was horrible to watch, right? But you knew what they were doing going out, like, you know. But this time, like, you can see that there's a little bit more encouragement from last year to maybe play front foot football. But just like to see them, look, lads, everything doesn't have to be 100 miles an hour when you're going forward. I think what they need to do in the next 3 weeks is work on that transition and how we get, I've tipped over to Dr. Morris Park a few times just to watch a bit of the training, and we do a lot of stuff on defensive work. And then we go to the other end of the field and we do a lot of shooting and attacking stuff. But the middle third of the field, there seems to be no work in, and how we're going to get from A to B. And it seems to be from us that we're trying to get from 45 to 45 in as little touches as possible. And that's beautiful to watch when it works. But when a team like what Waterford did last week in the first half put up a defensive screen, that's not going to work. So, we just need maybe just to get back to the basics. Have it, encourage lads to have a little bit more composure on the ball, and we'll be fine. But we're not going to win the Tailteann Cup, but I would like us to see us working on something that we can take into the league next year.
I had my view on this. Like, I think there's no doubt in football. Like, football is the second arm of the J and Tip. It's kind of a take it or leave it for some players, I would think, to maybe when they're committing to county squad.
It's a gateway to the hurling.
I just think that when you have that sort of mindset when in the county, that you make playing the game as enjoyable as possible. I think Tip are at their best when they're kind of a bit maverick, bit off the cuff. It's sort of a bit of mayhem. It's sort of lads, they're prepared to take risks, like that 2016 team. Like, like some of the football they played, particularly up in Croke Park against Galway, like, it was maverick stuff. Like, even Dublin or Kerry wouldn't have taken the risks on the ball. Like, they just had a go, and I just think, I don't know. I maybe that's the way. Like, I'd agree. I thought we were overly defensive last year, and I didn't think players enjoyed that last year under David Power. I just think you get more players to commit with Tip if they know they're going into sort of you can sort of express yourself a small bit more, because, like, they're not under massive pressure. I know somebody said to me last night, did you go in hard on the players and managers? They always seem to get away with losing, like, and but then people were sort of, I wouldn't say half shocked, but there was sort of sense of apathy after the last week. And you can imagine if Tip lost, say, to Antrim or Offaly in hurling, the absolute war over if you had lost the championship match to them at the moment, the hurlers, like. But you can win bad in Tip football and sort of people shrug their shoulders. But, like, if you do well with Tip football, you'll get a fair bit of support, like, and we saw that during the good days.
Yeah, exactly. I would say, like, you have to know your place in life. We're very much the number 2 sport in Tip, but I always feel that there is an awful lot of goodwill there. People will come if you're playing a nice brand of football, but it has to start with winning. Like, I don't know how long it is since we only got 4 points in the league. Like, I mean, the last time we were in Division 4, we played beautiful football as well to get promoted, and very unlucky not to win the league final against Cavan. That's only 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
I suppose it's not all bad. I suppose the minors won last night, and the 20s, very, very big game tonight now against Cork. Like,
very big game tonight, but you're going into 20s, you're going in with different expectations against Cork than what the were against the minors last night. I was down at it, and quite a good first half. They had a little shaky period for 10 minutes in the second half, and you'd be saying, God, is this last Sunday all over again against Waterford? But once they got going, and they play a lovely brand of football, and I would say that every one of them, fair play to the management team there, every one of those players knows their role and look to have, if we can keep them, look to have a bright future in tip football.
Yeah, Jack Garrett really impressed with 5 points, 3 of them from play, Anthony.
Is he the nearest thing to Bill Maher that you've seen in a long time? With those runs and the speed of him up. Yeah, he was really, really impressive. He's Usain Bolt when he takes off with the ball, but a lot of lads, might have that pace, but he's always in full control of the solo when he's going at that pace. Yeah, very, very impressive.
Like they're in a lovely spot now where like themselves and Clare have qualified for the final already. They play in Quilty next week. Like the management now can more or less say they can more to give the subs a run really, like, or maybe give the whole panel a go and maybe come back in for the final and the Darrell Darcy final, and unless they agree just to play a once-off game or something.
No, isn't there a different setup this year? I'm not sure. Next week is a dead rubber.
Oh, isn't that huh?
Right? With the new setup, the new 2 or 3 tier setup in the minor.
Yeah.
Right. There's 3 teams going through out of Munster, and Clare and Tip are in Darrell Darcy, but I think the third team. No, I stand corrected in this. I think the third team to go into tier 1 of the minor champion, the All Ireland series, is based on whoever finishes top of the league system, rather than the Darrell Cup final.
They'll have to go full strength. So
now what'll happen is the loser of the Darrell Darcy Cup final will play the winner in the semi-final of the other. It's the same as always. But I think the tier 1 for the All Ireland series is taken from who finishes top in the group. So I'm not 100% sure on that. I read the rules last night. Well, couldn't fully understand them, to be honest, but they were complicated.
They're guaranteed another 4 games. I can see
another 4 games.
2 matches with Clare, go at Kerry and Cork, plus a tier, whatever tier they end up in. So
no. Tis a really exciting minor team, a really good team to watch. Some really serious good players and a great spread of clubs there as well.
And if I'm to move on to the under-20, like Niall Fitzgerald has had a good start to the year, coming through phase 1, which had Limerick, Waterford and Clare. Clare are also through along with Tip, and now you're in with Cork and Kerry, and it's Cork and Feathered this evening. Anthony, how's this team going, and what should we expect from here?
Yeah, but the team is going well, and they've gone about their business very well down in Quilty and against an absolute gale in the first half against Clare. They did the business defensively, and I think they restricted Clare to 2 or 3 points, getting a few of their own. Against Waterford, they were very impressive. Now, granted, a very poor Waterford team, but I mean, you can only beat what's in front of you. And again, I would say another team, to be fair to management, every player on that team seems to know their job. Tonight, Cork are only entering the championship tonight, so they will be unknown, but you would imagine going on results from 2 or 3 years ago that they will at minor level that they'd be quite impressive. And but different expectations. All you want to see from like Niall Fitz's job, I suppose, at the start of the year was to try get Tip back into at least third place in the pecking order behind Kerry and Cork, because for a long time we were down in 5th place, maybe just ahead of Waterford. And in fairness to the minor and under-20 management teams over the last 2 or 3 years, they do seem to have got us back into that third place position in Munster, which would give us a little bit of, there's definitely green shoots there for the future. But as I said, probably a win tonight might be expecting a bit too much. But if you've seen a good performance, you'd be happy enough with that, and then take Clare in the next round of the under-20.
Like if you're looking ahead of trying to get to a Munster final, like winning tonight rather than in Kerry in the last round, you're looking for 2 wins essentially. Like tonight is probably your best opportunity. Cork are coming in cold. But we've seen the last couple of years at minor level when Tip go into phase 2 and the first 10 or 15 minutes sort of passes them by because the pace Cork play at is at a different level, and that I think a lot of it, if Tip get off to a solid start tonight and are in this game in the second half, I think that they have a home advantage, and that we've seen how actually positive playing in Fethard has been. Like, the crowds are coming out, like it sort of feels like a real home atmosphere, like, because it's a tight, compact ground, 1,300 people there. I assume that they'll get a big crowd there again tonight, and maybe in time it'll become our underage football home from home. Because, like, I know as well as people want to play in Semple Stadium, a bit of an atmosphere is always great too. And I just thought that the couple of games that have been played in Fethard so far, particularly the minor match against Limerick, I just thought, Jesus, like,
it was great atmosphere at that.
Great atmosphere down there.
Yeah, it's funny because you're saying underage. There's a debate to be had, I think, anyway, on should we be taking the football to a provincial ground, maybe like be it Fethard, be it Mine Temple 2 or whatever, like, because it does create for a better atmosphere. You know, like, it's nice to play in Semple and and all that, but the opposition, when they're coming, are inspired by playing in Semple as well. Like, so take it, maybe more so, because it's a unique experience for a lot of, particularly in Division 4. They're not going to get to play in stadiums like Semple Stadium too often. So I think we'd be better off taking them to a club ground around the county. But I know the other side of that is that people will probably argue, but then when we go into championship and we go down to Fitzgerald Stadium or something like that, we're not used to playing in the big stadiums, but we're not going to win at Fitzgerald Stadium anyway. So let's be honest about it. I think it's a debate that needs to be had.
Yeah, and Shane, then just in terms of the start 15, it's unchanged there, so strong.
Yeah, no, it's a very good team. Like, I would have seen an awful lot of this team at my minor level that were very, very good. Like, Charlie King is a super attacking halfback. Joe Higgins, big, powerful midfielder, and I just think, like, Oren Jones is really leading the line at full forward. I would have seen him a couple of years ago. I think he was on the minor hurling panel, and I know but he really seems to have. He was a talented footballer, but he really seems to have nailed his colours to the mast in terms of maybe looking for a football career going forward. Like, he's been very, very good so far.
Yeah, Anthony, any thoughts on that team?
Yeah, it's been a very solid team. From what I hear, Joe Higgins is a major doubt for tonight. He's a knee injury, so I'm not sure that he'll be starting, even in the name there. But Oren Jones has certainly been the talk of the championship. He has lit it up, like, and some of the goals that he's got have been brilliant. But it's not just he's not just putting his foot through it. When he gets the ball every time, he always has that great ability of seeming to know where the space is, and looks like he knows what he's doing every time he gets the ball. Like, and even there's Shane Ryan there, corner forward. Like, he didn't play. I don't think he was on the 24 against Clare. Drafted in the last day, got 1-2 or 1-3. So,
another player there that can't even make the team is Dahi Hogan. I think he's a very exciting player. Maybe, I don't know, maybe his lack of size is counting against him at the moment. But God, he
might be for a start.
A live wire every time he comes on.
It might be for his lack of size might be the reason why he's not starting. But he's certainly in the 2 games he's come on so far. Has made a huge impact, and like, he's a free winning machine. Like, once he takes him on, because he's so small, lads have to get down to him, and he hits the ground, and it's a free every time. Like,
Okay, well, look, thanks very much, Anthony, for joining us, and hopefully the next time we're chatting Tip football, it's a bit more positive.
Hopefully, so thanks, Anthony. Yeah.
Okay, well, speaking of diving and stuff like that, we'll talk a bit more about the hurling later on. But by God, there was plenty of dives in the league final.
I suppose it was. I know you were. That's when he was at Adam Hogan was coming in for a bit of heat, maybe in terms of maybe buying a few frees and stuff. But I thought it was an interesting.
He's not.
I know, but he was probably prime. He was the one that stood out, maybe a couple of times more, and there's no doubt he's in sort of the Dan McCormick school of making sure you buy a free. Like, but look. Geez, I'd love to have him in my team every day of the week. He's real Cathal Barrett, isn't he? When Cathal was starting out, like, he just plays from the front, 100 miles an hour, and he's a tough defender. Even allowing for the Redskins, but sure, maybe he could have something maybe superstitious or something that has to be read. But I know, look, I thought Clare were deserving winners. Kilkenny could have, like anything, they could have snuck it at the finish. And look, Kilkenny did miss an awful lot of chances, particularly with the wind in the first half. And maybe if TJ Reid was there, those missed frees and maybe the penalty would have been stuck away and we would be talking something different. But look, there's no doubt, I think that the best team in the league and the most consistent and the most to give the league its proper, who took it, dealt with it properly, won the league. And look, it sets up Clare pretty well for the championship. They got a half an hour into Shane O'Donnell. Look, we don't know yet whether McInerney or Tony Kelly will play against Limerick, but other than that, like they're in great shape. And like I suppose the one thing about Clare is they really have depth off the bench now. Like with having not having with those injuries, they've been forced to give more guys a go. Like Keane Galvin, Darrell Owen, Cormac Lean have all been really excellent this year. So there's real depth to that Clare squad this year.
It's probably the first time that through the Tony Kelly era, if we can call it that way, which started in 2012, where you're like, if you didn't start against Limerick, the dominant All-Ireland champions, you'd still give them a bit of a chance.
Absolutely, and like it probably gives Brian Lohan an opportunity now to put Tony where he's going to do his most damage. Like, the last few years, you say, oh, you need Tony at 11, but you need him at 14, but you also need him in the middle of the field and maybe drop him back and pick. Where now they've sort of developed enough players in other positions where you can say, okay, where will Tony do his most damage? Do we put him wing forward? Do we take him out of the crowd and maybe put him in full forward beside Mark Rogers or something? Like Brian Lohan has that card now to say, okay, where can I identify? Maybe it could be different game. It could be maybe corner forward one day. It could be they could identify a weakness on an opposition wing back another day. I just do think they have the ability now to play Tony where they can, on a different day, they can get the most out of him.
Thing with Limerick is they don't mark him. He will be marked if he plays corner forward. He might be allowed to be free if he's out the field. And to be fair, like during the Brian Lohan era, he has averaged over 11 points per championship game every time he's played Limerick 5 times. So that'll be tasty when it comes up in a couple of weeks. Delighted to say now we're joined by Joe Scully to talk about the Tipperary camogie team. League final, first time in 15 years, Joe, coming up against Galway. But I suppose the downside is Karen Kennedy, when we last found out, is a bit of a doubt.
Yeah, she injured her shoulder against Clare the last game, which was actually when she scored a goal. Actually, she fell on it and hit hard, so she's a big doubt for it anyway. Yeah, so it's touch and go whether she'd actually make it. And look, she'd be a big loss, no doubt, because like she's a key player there. She missed the start of the league, but she came in the last couple of games and scored a goal in each game, playing in the forward line. So whether she actually plays in the forward line again or to bring her back centre back, I suppose is one thing. But yeah. But like she will be a big loss, but I think they have the depth on the squad, without her to cause problems for Galway anyway. So it won't be too bad if she was missing, because at the scene in the league, they have a strong squad now as they've used a lot of new players have been introduced as well, especially in the first couple of games.
Shane, what do you think?
Yeah, look, I just think if in a national final, like you'd really love to have her, like, because she has that quality and experience. And I said, as Joe said, that they've been started playing her in the half forward line since she came back, and like she's like, if she gets you on the turn and gets on off in her solo run, there's no catching her. Like she's absolutely devastating, and like I think she's had her shoulder problems in the past, so like getting another injury there is not ideal. Like, and I just think the vibe I'm getting is that she won't make it, which could be enough to swing it in Galway's favour. And look, you were going to Croke Park and you need all the experience and the quality you can get. And look, in fairness, Tip have got a couple of runs out there over the last few years, including last year's quarter-final in the championship. So look, it won't spook them in any way. But like to get to play in a national final on telly next Sunday in front of, there's probably going to be a decent crowd in around 4 o'clock. I didn't actually realise Dublin and Meath was on this Sunday. I thought it was on the following weekend. So like it's going to be a great experience for those girls, and just hopefully to go out and perform to their best.
Joe, just in terms, like Dennis Kelly was talking after the last games and the 32 frees given against Galway the last time out. Carridolan will probably pop them over if that many frees are given up again. So Tip will need to be disciplined.
Yeah, they will. And on that last day, they won by 3 points. And Galway missed, I think, 3 or 4 what you call easy enough frees as well on that day. So that will be something they'll have to work on a lot. It was the same kind of against Waterford, their first game out. They conceded a lot of frees that day as well, and ended up losing that by 3 points. But since then, there has been a noticeable improvement, and they haven't been conceding as many frees. So it's something they've obviously been working on, and and obviously if they give away that many frees on Sunday, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Definitely.
Yeah, Shane, where do you think this game will be won and lost?
Yeah. I'm fascinated to see. I've seen some of Tip. I haven't seen as much as I would have liked. That the way they've changed it up this year. They've put 2 flyers on the wings. They put Claudia McIntyre on one wing, and no, it's not Karen Blair. They've really gone for pace. They're really going to open up the field. And I think even and. In fairness, Emer McGrath's really stepped into the void left by Caught Devan. She's really taken on the score mantle, but it can't be left on her too. I think when they beat Galway, she scored 3-7 out of 3-10. So the load has to be spread out. And it's great that Grace O'Brien has come back right in time, which is a great boost too. And there is experience there. I suppose. Probably a lot of it will fall in the Tipperary full back line. That's a lightning. That's a very, very strong Galway forward line with the McGraths, Donoghue's, Carridolan. So how they would deal with them will go a long way to determine whether Tip can win this game.
Yeah, Joe, Galway are used to being in finals and used to winning finals as well. So that should give them that sort of confidence coming into the game.
Yeah, definitely. You think so anyway. But Tipperary, they're a good team. They've come and they're getting better each game, and obviously it's not much. They haven't been in a national final since 2009. So, but obviously the Munster win last year, will give them a lot of confidence as well, and that's a game that they'll stand to them. And obviously losing the All-Ireland semi-final last year to Waterford, that was a big game as well. And they probably used the hurt from that as well, to help them on. Just on that, you're saying there, about Emer McGrath being the main scorer, that was true, especially the first couple of games. They didn't really have to play Waterford from Galway. There wasn't that many scores, but since then, they've had in Clare game they had 9 different scores, in Cork 7 different scores, and same with the Kilkenny game. So as the league has gone on, they have been improving and they've had different scores. So that's something. Obviously, at the start of each league, it was more of a problem for them, but as it got better as it gone, so it's something that should be all right. So
Joe, how's Nicole Walsh going in goals? She's not an out-and-out goalkeeper. She's more or less been given the role. I suppose with Cueva Burke still out through injury, and how is she adapted to that new position?
I know she's actually going well now. She saved the penalty. I think it was a Kilkenny game as well. So she hasn't made any mistakes or anything. And any of the goals they've conceded, there's not a lot really she could do about them. So yeah, she's been going really well. And her poke outs have been good as well. So as I said, hasn't made many major mistakes anyway so far. So hopefully she can keep that up now. But she's doing well. Yeah.
Okay. And if we're to go prediction for this weekend, Joe, how would you look at it?
Look, it's a tough one now to call. It'd be a close game. Obviously, Tip now beating Galway the last 2 years in the league, so that would be a confidence booster for them going into it. But look, it's a really tough one to call. Obviously, a lot of dependence was whether Karen Kennedy does play or not. You'd give Tipperary more of a chance if she's in there, because her link-up play more as well as anything, is great, and it would ask. But I really, it's only going to be 1 or 2 points in it either way. I think, so. As I said, it's really hard to call. It could be a draw either. I'm kind of on the fence. It's really hard to call because, Tipperary, Galway, we know what they can do. They've won to go for 3 in a row. They've won 3 of the last 4 league finals that have actually been played. And they won a couple of All-Irelands in recent years. So, they have the experience and they'll give it a game. They'll be tough. But Tipperary have been very impressive in the league, especially the last 3 games, and they've been getting better with every game. So look, I give them a great chance. And as I said, whoever does win, it'll only be maybe 1 or 2, 3 points in it anyway. I'd say at the end of it anyway, there won't be much in it anyway.
Yeah, Shane, we're looking to finally break through the glass ceiling and get a bit of national silverware.
Absolutely. And I suppose getting to a final in itself, it's massive. As I said, we got to the Munster final last year. We're strong. Croke Park shouldn't hold any fears for them. There's a lot of girls would have got an awful lot of experience there. It's just going out and performing now. And look, I think it'll be a like Tip have an awful lot to play for. Galway are going for history in a 3 in a row. So like I think we'll get a very, very good and competitive game, and I assume it'll be all about the game. I don't know. There's talk of maybe would the two teams use this as maybe a bit of an occasion maybe to highlight the skort issue, but I don't think maybe this Sunday would be the day to do. Maybe if they were going to do something, you maybe do it in the championship and you can coordinate it amongst all the teams maybe down the road. But I think there's too much on the line for Tip and Galway to get sidetracked by anything else, and hopefully, as I say, we'll get a good game on Sunday.
Yeah, far be it for 3 lads to be talking about it, but that motion which was proposed by Tipperary was defeated. Joe, do you think it would be a good time to make a protest about it? I mean, it is a national final. I think it would very much put the Camogie Association under the spotlight.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, but as Shane said, it's a big game, like for both sides, like and to be distracted by it, maybe it might put because Tipperary, like they haven't won a national title in 2004, I think, and look, it'd be a big win for them. Like and Galway going for 3 in a row. Like I suppose, probably maybe later on with the championship starts, and all teams maybe, as Shane said, like protested, like, but there would be stage, for a league final, national final, I suppose, and maybe to protest it, all right, yeah. But I think maybe better off waiting until the championship, like, because it's obviously a big game for both sides, like,
Yeah,
like, I know. Look, I know it was a democratic vote, and you take it, but like, I don't know many people, many girls who like wearing them. Like, I just find it, when a poll is taken last year of 82% want to wear shorts, and then you get a vote last week of 36% saying the same. there's someone not telling truth somewhere, like, so and I say it won't be revisited 2027. Like I say, look, none of us, in some ways, like the 3 of us discussing it is probably not ideal, but like we have a say. Like there's a man now as president of the Camogie Association, so, and like we're going to have information soon, so.
Well, look, put it this way. Women are allowed to talk about men's sport, so men should be allowed to talk about women's sport. And what I would say is, look, I'm not saying the teams have to do it this weekend, but if the teams did do it this weekend and they both agreed beforehand, wear the shorts, which they all probably wear training anyway, go out, forget about it. What you would hope, is solidarity from every other camogie player in Ireland who will be posting on social media about it at the time, tagging in the association. And rather than, like, if everyone went out and played a match, there would be no hubbub online from the players. Whereas this, if it's all consolidated to one match and you had every player in the country tagging in the association and going on about it, I think that would actually be the most effective.
Oh, look, I'd have known that if just say Tip and Galway coordinated and did it, like you're talking 2:30 on Sunday and RT2, probably it's a huge audience of people, and it probably overwhelming support as well. Like, and but that's, call a spade a spade. The girls in training wear shorts. In challenge matches, sometimes they wear shorts. Really, skorts are only a big they're nearly more decorative, aren't they? Like, when you think about it, like, there's no actually reason to them not retaining the money that they're to differentiate themselves from hurling. Like, it's probably the only difference from hurling is that they wear skorts. And I actually didn't realize that you're essentially, from reading a few things, that I think it was Owen Cormacan's piece in the Examiner last weekend where he spoke to his few sisters, and it's, I suppose, for a lot of people, that uneducated males, they are actually, it's wearing a pair of shorts with another layer of fabric over it. It's a skort over, like, they are wearing 2 layers below their waist. And I think any of us wearing shorts are wearing 1 layer. They have to wear 2. And I can only think that how uncomfortable that is.
Yeah, River Power says every other camogie team should show up in shorts before the game with a huge banner with an X over a skort. Ideally, that would be good, but probably unlikely to happen. So, yeah, Joe, just to finish up, what sort of an occasion do you expect then, just in terms of like the wave of Tipperary camogie? Are we expecting big things in the next couple of years, and this could be, I suppose, a flagship day?
Yeah, look, I think so. Yeah, there's definitely a bit potential there to win an All Ireland. I think in the next 2-3 years, if they stay going the way they're going, like, you know, they've obviously this season they've unearthed a few new players as well who can come in. They've already got some really good players already in there. Like, so, like, you know, I think the way they're going, like, Munster Championship last year, and if they could win this league now Sunday, you know, be a great boost for them. Like, you know, and really make them push on. Like, you know, they were not far away from an All Ireland final last year, and I won't be surprised, like, if they go in an All Ireland final this year. Like, you know, they've beaten in the league this year as well. Like, they've beaten you know, the main three, like Kilkenny, Cork, and Galway. Like, Kilkenny and Cork away from home as well. Like, so, you know, definitely, you know, they're definitely going somewhere. And like, I won't be surprised, like, if there was an All Ireland there somewhere in the next 2-3 years, maybe.
And just, Joe, before you go, you know, you would have seen an awful lot of the minors this year. Like, they suffered their first loss of the year last weekend against Cork. Not a costly one. They're still in the All Ireland semi-final, but was it a case maybe of maybe it's not a bad loss in terms of learning things, or did it highlight maybe some areas that they would need to improve on before an All Ireland semi-final?
Yeah, look, it was probably the worst performance of the year. Like, you know, definitely. Like, the conditions probably didn't help either. Like, you know, but those conditions obviously was the same for both sides. Like, they conceded a couple of soft goals in the second half, like, you know, which completely changed the whole rhythm of the game. Like, so, you know, that's something they'll be disappointed with. Like, you know, but like, they're a very good team. Like, you know, and I don't think it'll affect them too much, that defeat. Like, because, you know, as you said, they're already into a semi-final anyway. So maybe, you know, that was obviously there as well in their mind, and maybe they weren't fully, you know, 100% at it. Like, but, you know, I still give them a great chance, like, in the All Ireland series, like, as well. You know, they're a very good team with some great players there anyway, you know, as well. So yeah, they definitely have a strong chance going forward.
Okay, well, Joe, really appreciate your time this morning, and hopefully we'll be chatting again on the far side of a league final win, hopefully.
Sure, Joe.
All right, no problem. Thanks a million.
Okay, great to have Joe on there. Just to finish up our chat, actually, Joe, we'll move on to the Tipperary minor hurlers. It feels like we're facing Waterford in every match, in every code at the moment. But with Waterford on Thursday evening, and then the under-20 hurlers, who we'll come to in a minute, have Limerick in Rathkeale on Friday. But the minor hurlers, you watched it last week. I was watching the stream. Had a good win over Cork. Now went 1-10 to 1-2 ahead, if I remember correctly. Yeah. We're sort of reeled back in, but showed the composure to get over the line. What was your read on the game?
Yeah, it was a sort of a very strange game. Like that, you said, the first 20 minutes, Tip owned it, 1-10 to 2 up. From the 10 minutes either side of half time, I think Tip might have only scored 1 point and Cork got back level, but then Tip pulled away in the last 20 to win, I suppose, by 4 points, but it probably was more comfortable in that. I thought when they were on the front foot, they were very, very dangerous. That first 20 minutes, they were outstanding. Like, the inside forward line, Killian Minogue, Stephen Tobin, Owen Dohan, very, very dangerous. Like, Ewan Murray at centre forward just looks a class act. It's the first time I've seen him in the flesh, and just really, really good player. Like, I thought wing back, the Bursley man, Patrick Ryan, was he was giving away serious interest to the Cork wing forward, but God, he I don't think the Cork wing forward even caught a ball. But I thought that one notable thing for me was how absolutely Tip ate the breaking ball. Like, Cork were going along with a lot of their puckouts, and Tip just, anything that hit the deck, Tip were in there first. Killian Cantwell and the boys, like, they were just hoovered it up and moved it on. Look, it was an interesting. We were watching when Cork got back into the game. It was probably when they got in behind the Tip half back line, they looked very, very dangerous. There was a lot of space between the full back line and the half back line. And this was something we asked James Woodlock after, is he played a high line, and he more or less said it was a divine tactic where Tip had the wind in the first half and the new Cork were going to go along. So they more or less said, we're going to pen him in. We're going to try and anything, we just break it forward. And we're probably going to risk leaving a bit of space behind us if Cork went through. And look, it worked in terms of Tip got 8 points up, but then when it was breached, Cork got in for 2 goals and maybe could have gone in for a third. Like, so I sort of admire the part of it. Was risky, but it's ballsy stuff. It's front foot hurling, and like, they were, when they were getting the ball, they were letting it in as early as they could. Like, it wasn't aimless bad ball. Like, they were pinging the corners. Like, it was good quality stuff going in. Like, there was that period after half time, it looked like our inside forward line were Cork were starting to win an awful lot of the ball that was going in. But look, Stephen Tobin got a couple of great points before he went off with severe cramp, and then young Cagney came on, and he was outstanding when he came. 3 points in play, and he had an assist, and I think he might have won a free as well. Like, he was, I kind of see the team has been named no changes. Like, he'd be very unlucky that he's not getting a start. But it just shows you maybe we did feel that this Tip minor team this year was good, and I suppose look on first game evidence. Look, look. We're not going to say they have to win in All Ireland, but look, they're in the shake up, and I'm really looking forward to the day that this team gets on a dry track. It was like the rain that fell last Thursday night during the game was horrific, lads, and it's the skill level and the speed this team play. When these boys get a dry ball and a hard surface, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do then.
Yeah, that half-forward line of Cork's, because Tip were coming out the field after him. Mark O'Brien, he scored 1-3 from play.
Yeah.
Luke Murphy, I thought, was quite good also. And do you remember earlier in the season when against Chelsea, Spurs had 2 lads sent off, and Spurs kept pressing up even though they had only 9 men, and Postecoglou said that's just the way we play, and people say we just sit in. Like, there is that balance. I mean, it is exciting when a team presses up, but the flip side is you're 1-10 to 1-2 up.
Yeah.
Like, there's that balance. Like, do we keep going and do we try and turn that into a 15 or 12-point lead? And then sometimes you get sucker punched. And Woodlock did say afterwards about showing character after being sucker punched halfway through that first half. But that is the balance that you're working with all the time.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure as the championship goes on, they'll evolve, and they'll probably have to get a bit more cuter in terms of maybe getting Tom Corcoran at centre back just to sit a small bit more. It was like, I suppose when you're the centre back and there's goals going through the middle, you're probably the one that gets the blame for not holding. But like, it looked like his job was to push up in unison with his 2 wing backs as well. So it'll be. I assume maybe if they get towards finals and semi-finals and stuff, that you'd have to be cut your cloth to suit your measure, and maybe definitely give your full back line a bit more protection.
And then the under-20s. So, well, like, actually, first off, we should talk about the minors this evening. I'll just bring up the team here on screen. So
tomorrow night.
Oh, sorry, tomorrow night as well. Off the top of the head, are there any changes?
Unchanged? Yeah, no changes. So from what I say, yes, Stephen Hoban was the only one that went off injured the last day. It looked like severe cramp. James Woodlock had said that he had missed a bit of training beforehand with an injury, and he hadn't played an awful lot. And but then look, you see, if they, I suppose, having the win under their belt, I suppose it takes the pressure off a small bit in terms of you don't have to. You could probably afford to lose one game and still make a Munster final at this stage. So, you want to keep the momentum going too. So, I would have thought that Tobin is probably fine to go again.
So the Tipperary under-20s are out on Friday. Last week, I think it was last Friday, they lost to Clare. I was flicking over and back between the Cork-Watford game. Watford were beaten heavily enough by Cork, and this match. So this match, Limerick lost 2-17 to 2-15. I'm pretty sure that Shane O'Brien, who would be the senior up-and-coming star, he went off injured. What are you expecting from this clash? Obviously, we haven't seen Tipperary yet.
No, yeah, they're coming in. They're coming in cold, and if you're listening to anybody around the county, there's not much optimism. I know your brother Paddy is part of the management team, and like, I would have thought, like, any Tipperary team that goes out has a chance. Like, you look at our Harty Cup form the last couple of years, like, we should have plenty of talent, like, to be very, very competitive at this level. I don't understand this defeatist attitude that's coming from some people. Maybe it's a hangover from last year, or maybe the type of hurling we were playing, but we have to give the management the opportunity to see what we can do. I suppose the concern for this Friday is that it looks like the likes of Darren McCarthy is struggling to be fit, and my read of it is that he could play, but he could that they might hold him out. Because like, there's still 3 more games. Like, if you play him and he gets injured, you could lose him for a couple of more games. So you got to balance it out. I think Brendan said, yeah, it's Darren McCarthy, Aaron O'Halloran, Joe Egan, and Dara Guinan are struggling to be fit. Like, so look, Limerick have the game under their belt. It's in Rathkeale. Look, I still think there's a way. It's a young Tipperary squad. Like there's an awful lot of this crew are the 2022 minors, so they'll be eligible next year. But I still think any group of 18, 19, 20-year-olds that put on a Tipperary jersey will always be competitive. And they were competitive last year. Probably the one heavy loss they got was against Cork, and we saw how good that Cork team was. They went on and won the All-Ireland pretty comfortably. So I suppose the one thing I'd love to see is just a small bit more direct play into the forwards this year, that don't overdo it in the middle of the field. Like a lot like the minors, get the ball into the scoring zone. Tip will always have players to stick the ball over the bar.
And do you think that some of the negative, and I'm just wondering what's the negativity based around? Is it like the odd, remember there was an exaggerated scoreline quoted about an internal match against the Tipperary senior team, which wasn't actually the scoreline at all. It was one of these things just for dramatic effect that was spread out there. Is that where the negativity is coming from?
I think it's a hangover from last year. And I think maybe some of the performances and maybe the style of hurling, and I suppose that game against Clare where we sort of got bogged down in the middle of the field and maybe trying to force a pass. Instead of maybe if you get the ball to half-back line, you sort of ping it inside. Not willy-nilly, but you play clever, smart, direct hurling. And I do think, look, we haven't seen them yet. And look, challenge matches you can read too much into challenge matches too. And like I've been with teams, you lose all your challenge matches, but you win all your championship matches. It's all about championship at the end of the day. Like, and like we haven't seen them yet, and like we need to see how they go over the next 4 games. Like it's not all on Friday night against Limerick. We have Waterford, we have Clare, we have Cork, and look, as Brendan Cummins said to me, it's dog eat dog. It's no different than senior. Like it's all about surviving and being in that top 3 come the end of the group stage and being still alive for the knockout stages.
Yeah, and having all of those games, like it's so much better in terms of the development of these players, just to have that several games rather than just one and done. You know, and sometimes just a bad decision can undo you, and the development that you'd have with these players for, a couple of months is gone. And that's a real waste when you're trying to bring lads through.
But there's a lot of good talent there. Like Ben Corrigan, Sam O'Farrell was an outstanding minor captain 2 years ago. He had a very, very good campaign with Nina last year in his first year adult. He stuck in pretty well. Like you have, like if McCarthy's injured, like you have Robbie Ryan. Yeah, there's loads of talent there. Ger O'Dwyer was a hardy defender for Cashel and for Boherlahan last year. So I think there's I suppose the minimum you get real tough, gritty Tipperary hurling, and you go down into Limerick, into Rathkeil. That's probably is. If it wasn't going to be tough enough in the Gaelic grounds, it's going to be tougher down there. Like I think they've done a fabulous job. Then there's a lovely new little stand. I'm sure there'll be probably a big crowd there over Friday night. Like so, look, we don't know much about it. Like Limerick had the game under their belt last week. They're probably a little unlucky to lose to Clare. That probably had the chances maybe to win it late on before maybe Clare got a couple of points. But look, I think we'll know more after Friday night. And they say Ronan Connolly, excellent. Like the talent is there. It's just allowed them to express themselves and play more front foot Tipperary hurling. I think that's the one thing I'd hope to see this weekend, that compared to last year. Because like the 2022 Tip under 21 team were pretty good. They played some lovely hurling. That team that got to the Munster final lost to Limerick. Maybe last year, maybe tried to go too far towards the possession game, and maybe I'd like to think maybe they've gone back to more a style of hurling that suits maybe how our players have come through over the years.
Yeah, and the thing, whatever about Tip style, we know Limerick are going to play the exact same style because that their seniors do, because we see it from all their underage teams in recent times. So it's going to be a good match. Dublin Fair City says can't see Tip getting out of Munster in hurling this year. In fact, I think there'll be a few barn years ahead. I think they're miles off challenging for an All-Ireland, unfortunately. I suppose that's talking more about the senior team. Is it all quiet in Tip at the moment?
Very quiet. I believe
too quiet.
Yeah, well, that could be a good thing too. Like they're, I'm sure. I believe they're heading to Portugal in the next week or two before the Limerick game. Look, there's nobody talking about it, which is a bad thing in one way, but it's a good thing in another. Like I still think Tip, you can read too much into the Clare game too. Like, are we going to miss 9 frees, 10 frees like we did that day? Probably not. I'd like to think we'll be an awful lot sharper come the 28th of April in the Gaelic grounds. Will have to be. So it's look, I wouldn't rule Tipperary out of finishing the top 3. I think we could get some very, very weird results. In fairness, while it was a big win for Clare, I don't think in the league nobody will be getting too far ahead of themselves. Remember, 1994, Tip had a great league final win against Galway, and they were dumped out in the rear in the championship a few weeks later. Waterford the same 2 years ago. So, look, a team. It's you can take so much from the league, but I think one team that's been completely written off is Waterford, and I still think they'll beat Cork first round of the championship. I still think, and beware a wounded Limerick animal too. I would have thought, if you were from Tipperary, what would you prefer from that Limerick? I prefer Limerick to win rather than a Limerick loss and absolutely steaming in to play a Tip the following weekend.
I think if Limerick are going to be denied this year, it'll be because the run in Munster will catch up with them.
Oh, yeah.
Couple of players don't look 100% in terms of like fitness. If everyone's right, Limerick are going to win this All-Ireland. But I think if they get out of Munster and they get that bit more breathing room and the chance to, get more and more players back, I think that's when we're caught. So I think Limerick to lose against Clare would actually be preferable to everyone because it has them on the back foot straight away. There's no such thing.
Oh, yeah. But preferable for everyone, but in terms of, would you prefer playing Limerick off a loss or off a win?
Look, I'm not really into the whole mind game sort of thing. I'm like, let's get them out as quickly as possible because they are the big dog. They're the toughest team. I'd want to play them off a loss. Maybe, hopefully, get into their heads in the sense of, right, if we get after them earlier, maybe there'll be a little bit of nerves creeping in because they're like, our season's on the line here. And maybe you could look at it that way. That's the way I'd approach it. I want them to lose the first day out, so maybe we can knock them out.
Actually, isn't it brilliant? Like, we'll be back on here next week. Like, it'll be, while we're not out the first weekend, like we've games to get into in Munster and Leinster, and if you're listening to there's whispers on the vine that the weather's going to pick up middle of next week, so it could be just coming right for championship hurling.
We've heard that one before. It'll be the leaving cert. They'll sit down for the leaving cert, and it'll be beaming sun through the window. Last thing then I want to ask about, did you think it was a red card, a yellow card, free or play on when Adrian Mullen hit Cathal Malone?
Initially I thought great hit, but the referee can only go on what he sees at the time. Then you look back at it and you can see why he probably got it right, because there was a bit of contact to the head. So there was no intent for me, but anything around the head area is seemingly, whether there's intent or not, it's red. But I did think yellow was a fair. Maybe the fact that Cathal Malone didn't see it coming and was blindsided made it look an awful lot worse than it was. Initially, I thought great hit. I thought he got the decision right. Technically, it probably was a red because he connected with the head. It pushed up onto the head, but no, I think because there was the intent was there to hit him a good shoulder. And I think it's all about these things that are very minimal. If he goes a little bit to the left, he nails him perfectly. So no, I think yellow was right.
Yeah, pretty much impossible to referee that at full speed.
Yeah, the late penalty is another one. You probably don't associate that with a cynical foul play. Mark Rogers, you're probably thinking, even though the definition of the rule, you could see why he gave it, but you don't see it given for that. So I thought it was a harsh black card and a penalty for Kilkenny later on.
Yeah, the rule is an ass. Okay, right, that's it from the show this week. A reminder that Nina Guardian is in all good shops at the moment. Again, we'll be back again next week. Chat to you then.
Talk to you.